Ever felt like your mind became an unwelcome guest? You're sitting quietly. Everything seems fine, until a thought sneaks in. I messed that up. Then another one joins it. People must think I'm a failure. Before you know it, you're stuck in a strange loop, as if someone's whispering in your ear all day, replaying your doubts, your regrets, and your past mistakes. If you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. Negative thinking. It's something nearly all of us wrestle with. Sometimes it starts small, just a little self-criticism or a flash of frustration. But it grows. It creeps into everything, distorting how you see yourself, your life, and the people around you. Worse, it becomes a habit, a mental filter that turns even the smallest bumps into giant walls. But here's the good news. You don't have to stay stuck. You can break that loop. Not by pretending to be happy. Not by forcing fake positivity. But by returning to something timeless, Stoic philosophy. And leading the way is none other than Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor. Warrior. Philosopher. A man who stood face to face with chaos, loss, and overwhelming pressure, and yet kept his inner world clear, calm, and strong. Segue into the core of the video. In this video, we're going to explore exactly how Marcus Aurelius, and the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, can help you overcome negative thinking, reclaim control of your mind, and build inner clarity and strength. This isn't just theory. It's not abstract philosophy. It's practical. It's grounded. You'll learn tools you can use right away, from how to reframe criticism, to how to talk back to your inner critic, and even how to take action when your thoughts try to paralyze you. And here's the truth that will guide us through it all. Negative thinking isn't who you are, it's just a habit. And like any habit, it can be broken, once you start from within. So, are you ready to take back control of your mind? Let's begin with Lesson 1. The power of controlling your perceptions. Lesson 1. The power of controlling your perceptions. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a bad day that didn't actually start out bad, but somehow became one, just because of how you interpreted something? Maybe a coworker made a quick comment about your work. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't even meant to be hurtful. But suddenly, you're spiraling. I'm not good enough. They probably think I'm a failure. Why do I always mess things up? By lunchtime, you're exhausted, not because of what happened, but because of the story your mind ran with. Here's where Stoicism drops its first truth bomb. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." In simpler terms, it's not what happens to you that hurts. It's what you think about what happens to you. Think about that. It's not the traffic jam that ruins your morning. It's the thought, "I'm going to be late. This always happens. I can't catch a break." It's not the missed call or the look someone gave you. It's your interpretation. "They must be mad at me. I must have done something wrong." The mind is a storyteller. And when it's stressed or fearful, it tells really dramatic stories. But here's the good news. Once you realize that your perception is what shapes your experience, you unlock something powerful. You can shift it. Let's say someone criticizes your work. Your gut reaction might be to take it personally, to feel attacked. But what if, instead, you paused and asked, what if this feedback is useful? What if this is an opportunity to grow? Notice, nothing changed about the situation, but everything changed in your reaction. This is the heart of controlling your perception. It doesn't mean pretending everything is fine. It means zooming out and choosing a perspective that empowers you, rather than one that drags you down. So how do you do that? Step 1. Pay attention to your internal stories. When something uncomfortable happens, pause. Ask yourself, is this story I'm telling myself helping me, or hurting me? Sometimes, just hearing your own narrative out loud is enough to catch how off track it is. Step 2. Challenge those interpretations. Is there another way to look at this? Could there be a version of this story that makes you stronger, wiser, or more resilient? You don't need to swing to blind optimism. This isn't about turning everything into sunshine and rainbows. It's about refusing to hand over your emotional power to distorted thoughts that aren't even grounded in reality. Step 3. Reframe. This is the Stoic superpower. Stuck in traffic? Use the time to breathe, reflect, or listen to something inspiring. Got passed over for an opportunity? Reframe it as a chance to sharpen your skills or redirect your energy into something better aligned. Imagine your perception like a camera lens. If the lens is scratched, every photo comes out blurry. No matter how beautiful the subject is. The problem isn't the world, it's how you're seeing it. Clean the lens, and suddenly everything looks different. This mindset shift isn't always easy. But the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. And the less power negative events, or negative thoughts, will have over you. Here's a small habit to try. Every time you catch yourself spiraling into a negative reaction, pause and ask, what else might be true here? That one question can open the door to a different reality, one where you're in charge. Not your emotions. Because at the end of the day, perception is a choice, and every choice you make shapes how you experience the world. Choose wisely, and you begin to build a mind that works for you, not against you. Now that we've explored how perception shapes reality, let's take it a step further. Because before we can fully shift our thinking, we need to understand where those negative thoughts even come from. Let's dive into Lesson 2. Unraveling the roots of negative thinking. Lesson 2. Unraveling the roots of negative thinking. Let's get real for a moment. Negative thoughts don't just appear out of nowhere. They're not some mysterious force that suddenly takes over your mind. They come from somewhere, and more often than not, that somewhere is your past. Think about it. Maybe someone told you as a kid, "You're not very good at that." Maybe you failed a test, or got laughed at for sharing an idea, or were rejected when you tried something new. At the time, it stung, so your mind did what minds are built to do. It protected you. It said, let's not go through that again. Let's assume the worst before it happens. And just like that, a pattern began. Maybe it sounds like, I'm not smart enough. People are going to judge me. Why even try if I'll probably fail? Now, fast forward to adulthood. You're facing a challenge, a presentation, a tough conversation, a leap into something new, and that same old voice shows up. But here's the thing, it's not truth. It's just a memory dressed up like a warning. Marcus Aurelius put it best when he said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Let that sink in. The more we let old patterns run our minds, the more those patterns become who we think we are. Not because they're true, but because they've been repeated so often. They feel true. But here's the good news. Just like a fabric can be dyed, it can also be washed clean. So how do we start unraveling this mental knot? Step 1. Recognize the roots. Next time you catch yourself thinking, I can't do this, or I'm not enough, pause. Don't brush it off. Don't suppress it. Instead, ask, where is this coming from? Did someone plant this idea in your head years ago? Was it tied to a specific failure or painful moment? You'll be surprised how often a present-day fear is just a shadow from the past, still echoing because it was never challenged. Step 2. Challenge the assumption. Just because something feels true doesn't mean it is true. For example, let's say you're afraid of public speaking, and your mind says, you'll mess up. Everyone will laugh. Ask yourself, when has that actually happened? What evidence do I have right now? More often than not, you'll realize your fear is based on an outdated belief, not your current reality. You're not that nervous fifth grader anymore. You've grown, you've learned, and you've already survived a lot more than you give yourself credit for. Step 3. Replace the pattern. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about giving your mind a new track to run on. Instead of, I'll never get it right, try, I'm still learning, and that's okay. Instead of, I always mess things up, say, I've made mistakes, sure, but I've also improved, and I'm still growing. These small shifts matter, because when you speak to yourself with encouragement, you start to rewire your brain to expect growth instead of fearing failure. Think of it like decluttering an old attic. You go up there, open a dusty box, and find something you've been holding onto for years, something that no longer serves you. You don't need to keep carrying it around. You can acknowledge it, learn from it, and let it go. Negative thinking may have protected you in the past, but it's not protecting you anymore, it's holding you back. And when you start to peel away those layers, you'll begin to rediscover the version of you that isn't afraid to try, to speak up, to live fully. So the next time you hear that old voice, that one that says, you can't, you're not enough, don't even try, pause. Then gently respond, that's just a story I used to believe, but it's not who I am now. Because once you know where those thoughts come from, you're no longer trapped by them. You're free to rewrite the story. Now that we've traced the roots of negative thinking, let's take the next step and begin retraining your mind for clarity. Strength. and progress. Up next. Lesson 3: Renewing your mind. Lesson 3: Renewing your mind. Let's start with a simple but powerful truth. Just because a thought enters your mind, doesn't mean it deserves to stay there. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your home, insult you, tear up your things, and take over your space. But that's exactly what many of us allow, with our own thoughts. You see, negative thinking isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, familiar, so familiar, in fact, that it feels like truth. I always mess up. I'm just not good enough. I'll never be like them. Over time, these thoughts stop sounding like opinions and start sounding like facts. But here's what Marcus Aurelius reminded us. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. That's a big deal. It means your peace of mind, your confidence, your sense of purpose, they don't come from luck, or status, or what happens around you. They come from what happens within you. More specifically, from the thoughts you choose to keep. Now here's the problem. Many of us don't choose. We run on autopilot. We wake up, start scrolling, and let our mind serve as a buffet of old doubts, old stories, old fears, leftovers from years ago. And then we wonder why we feel stuck, why we can't move forward, why we always seem to sabotage ourselves right before we make progress. The answer? Because negative thinking becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you believe you can't succeed, you show up half-hearted. When you expect to fail, you don't give your full effort. And when you assume the worst, you're rarely prepared to receive the best. But it doesn't have to stay this way. The solution? Renew your mind. Think of your mind like a playlist. You've had certain songs on repeat for years, maybe even since childhood. Some of those tracks are upbeat, but others? They're nothing but noise. It's time to update the playlist. So how do we do that? Step 1. Observe. Don't react, notice. Throughout your day, pay attention to your thoughts. When you mess up or face a challenge, what does your mind automatically say? Is it kind, curious, encouraging? Or is it cold, harsh, and defeating? Once you catch a thought, don't judge it, question it. Is this thought actually true? Is it helpful? Is there another way to see this? Sometimes, just pausing to ask those questions breaks the cycle. Step 2. Reframe. Let's say you made a mistake at work. Instead of, "I'm such a failure," try, "This was a chance to learn something new. I'll grow from it." Same situation, different story. And with a different story comes a different outcome, one built on growth instead of shame. Reframing isn't pretending something didn't happen. It's choosing to tell a more empowering version of what did happen. Step 3. Practice gratitude, daily. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Gratitude? That's too simple. But don't underestimate it. Gratitude is one of the most effective tools for mental rewiring. When you intentionally focus on what's good, even small things, you teach your brain to look for patterns of hope instead of patterns of fear. Start a simple practice. Each night, write down 3 things you're grateful for. It could be as small as a warm cup of coffee or a smile from a stranger. The point isn't how big they are, it's that you noticed them. Over time, you'll find your mind begins to scan for good things on its own. And that's how renewal becomes reality. Renewing your mind isn't a one-time event. It's a daily choice. To pause, to question, to shift, and to speak to yourself like someone worth listening to, because you are. Because once you upgrade the quality of your thoughts, you upgrade the quality of your life. And speaking of life upgrades, the thoughts in your head are only one piece of the puzzle. The environment you surround yourself with? That's another major influence. So in the next lesson, let's explore how the people and spaces around you can either lift you up, or quietly pull you down. Lesson 4. Surrounding yourself with positivity. Here's a question we rarely ask ourselves. Is the world around you lifting you up, or quietly pulling you down? It might sound dramatic, but your environment is shaping your mind more than you realize. Not just the people you talk to, not just the space you live in, but everything, the sounds, the screens, the energy, the atmosphere, it's all leaving fingerprints on your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius said it with perfect clarity. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And your thoughts? They don't exist in a vacuum. They're fed, or poisoned, by your surroundings. Let's break that down. Think about the people in your life. When you're around them, do you feel seen, encouraged, motivated? Or do you leave those interactions feeling small, drained, anxious, like you're not enough? Now think about your physical environment. Is your space cluttered and chaotic? Or does it feel calm, clear, and intentional? Do your digital spaces, your social media, your news feeds inspire you? Or do they make you feel behind, angry, or stuck? Most of us are consuming noise all day without even noticing. And that noise becomes the background hum of our thoughts. That's why your environment matters so much. If your thoughts are seeds, your environment is the soil. Even the best seed can't grow in toxic ground. So how do we fix it? First, audit your circle. This doesn't mean cutting everyone out of your life. It means noticing how people affect you. Do they support your growth? Or mock your dreams? Do they hold space for your struggles? Or dismiss them? Do they challenge you with love or with judgment? It's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to limit your time with people who drain you, even if they mean well. Instead, pour into relationships that energize you. The ones where you leave the conversation feeling like a fuller version of yourself, not a smaller one. Second, refresh your space. You don't need a full makeover or fancy design. Start simple. Clear off your desk. Open a window. Add a plant. Put your phone in another room. Light a candle that makes you feel calm. When your environment feels intentional, your mind becomes clearer, less scattered, more focused. And don't forget, your digital space counts too. Unfollow accounts that trigger insecurity. Mute the noise. Fill your feed with ideas, stories, and people that inspire you to grow. Turn your phone from a distraction into a tool for learning, creating, or simply breathing. Third, be mindful of what you consume. The books you read, the music you play, the shows you binge, the podcasts you loop while commuting. All of it matters. You're not just passing time, you're programming your brain. Are you feeding your mind content that fuels resilience, wisdom, or calm? Or are you consuming fear, conflict, comparison, and chaos? Try this. For 1 week, swap out one piece of content per day, just one. A stressful news scroll for a stoic meditation. A mindless video for a meaningful podcast. A complaint-heavy conversation for a walk in nature. Watch how your internal dialogue begins to shift. None of this is about living in a bubble. You can't avoid every hard conversation, every stressful moment, every negative voice, but you can decide what gets the most access to your energy. Creating a positive environment is like building a shelter. The storms may come, but you'll have a place to return to, where peace isn't just possible. It's protected. So as you move through your day today, ask yourself this: is my environment helping me grow, or slowly wearing me down? Make one change, clear one space, reach out to one uplifting person, curate one new source of inspiration. That's how it starts. Because once you surround yourself with the right energy, the right people, and the right influences, you begin to realize you're not just surviving, you're becoming someone stronger, clearer, and more grounded. And now that we've cleared the space around you, it's time to shift how you move through it. Lesson 5. Taking stoic action. Let's face it, overthinking is easy. Sitting around and analyzing every possible outcome? Most of us are pros at that. But taking action, especially when fear or doubt creeps in, that's the hard part. And yet, action, even the smallest step, is often the exact medicine we need to break free from the grip of negative thinking. You see, negativity loves stillness. When we're stuck in our heads, doing nothing, doubt gets louder, anxiety multiplies, fear grows legs and starts pacing. But the moment you move, even just a little, something shifts. Marcus Aurelius nailed it when he said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Don't debate. Don't wait. Don't build castles in your mind. Be one. Act." That's the Stoic way. Clarity and peace don't come from endless internal debate. They come from action aligned with purpose. From doing what you can, not worrying about what you can't. So let's break this down. What does Stoic action actually look like? First, focus on what's in your control. Most of the time, the things that spin us out are completely out of our hands. You can't control what others say about you. You can't rewrite the past. You can't predict the outcome of every effort. But you can control how you show up. You can control your effort. You can choose to act in alignment with your values. And that's what matters. Let's say you're anxious about a job interview. Instead of panicking over whether you'll get hired, which is not in your control, focus on preparing as best you can. Read, practice, rest, show up as your best self. not your most fearful one. Or maybe you've been procrastinating on a creative project, waiting for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect version of yourself to begin. Spoiler alert. That moment isn't coming. But here's the good news. Perfection isn't required. Progress is. And progress starts with one small step. So try this. If something feels overwhelming, shrink the task. Don't write a book, just write one paragraph. Don't fix your whole life, take a walk. Make your bed, call a friend. Don't be amazing, just be consistent. Small, focused actions break the paralysis. Each time you move forward, no matter how slowly, you remind your brain, I'm not stuck, I'm capable. That's how momentum begins. And momentum creates confidence, not the other way around. But action isn't just about checking boxes. It's about alignment. So here's the deeper question. Are my actions aligned with who I want to be? Do they reflect your core values, kindness, courage, honesty, growth? If you value integrity, show up honestly even when it's hard. If you value compassion, help someone, not someday, but today. If you value strength, take care of your body and your boundaries. Because when your actions line up with your values, negativity has less room to grow. You're no longer reacting to the world. You're creating your place within it. Taking stoic action isn't about fixing everything overnight. It's about choosing progress over paralysis, purpose over fear, control over chaos. So next time you feel the weight of doubt pressing down, don't ask, what if it doesn't work out? Instead ask, what's one small step I can take, right now? Then take it. Don't wait to feel ready. Just begin. And as you move forward, step by step, you'll notice something powerful. Your confidence returns. Your mind clears. Your life begins to shift, not because the world changed, but because you did. So now that we've talked about doing, let's talk about how we speak to ourselves along the way. Because the words we use can either build us up or quietly tear us down. Lesson 6. The power of words. Let's take a moment to talk about something most of us take for granted. Not our habits, not our thoughts, but something even more subtle and more powerful. Our words. Because whether you realize it or not, the way you speak, both to others and to yourself, is shaping your entire life experience. Think about it. What do you say to yourself when you fail? When you're stressed? When you're looking in the mirror at the end of a hard day? Is it gentle? Or is it harsh, critical, cutting? Words you'd never say to a friend? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The things you think about determine the quality of your mind." But he didn't just mean silent thoughts. He meant the whole inner dialogue. The phrases we repeat, the labels we stick on ourselves, the stories we reinforce, day after day, moment after moment. Here's the truth. Words become beliefs. Beliefs become behavior. And behavior becomes your reality. If every time you make a mistake, you say, "I'm such an idiot," or, "I always screw things up," don't be surprised when your confidence shrinks. When your energy drops. When you stop trying, not because you can't, but because you've talked yourself into believing that lie. But here's the flip side. If you can talk yourself into darkness, you can talk yourself out of it, too. Let's start with your inner dialogue. Instead of, "I'm terrible at this," try, "I'm still learning, and that's okay." Instead of, "I'll never be good enough," say, "I'm improving with every step I take." These aren't cheesy mantras. They're reality-anchored affirmations. They remind your mind that growth is a process, not a final destination. Words like these rewire your thinking, not overnight, but gradually, steadily, and with repetition. Your mind begins to believe what you say. Are you complaining constantly? Dismissing compliments? Making jokes at your own expense? Those patterns matter. Try this instead. Speak with intention. Share encouragement. Offer kindness, not just to others, but to yourself, out loud. Words are energy, and that energy spreads. Here's a practical exercise that might seem small, but changes everything. Start a gratitude journal. Every evening, write down just 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be profound. It could be the taste of your morning coffee, a kind message from a friend, a moment of peace between all the noise. Why does this matter? Because gratitude trains your mind to notice. And what you notice becomes what you focus on. And what you focus on, that's the story you live in. Gratitude journaling is a quiet but radical act. It shifts your language from lack to abundance, from frustration to awareness, from "nothing's working" to "something's already working." Another powerful habit? Positive affirmations. Pick a phrase that aligns with who you want to become. Say it out loud, every day. Here are a few to get you started. I am capable. I am learning and growing every day. I am worthy of good things. I handle challenges with strength and grace. You might feel awkward at first. That's normal. But remember, if your mind can repeat a lie over and over and turn it into belief, it can do the same with truth. So today, ask yourself this: what words am I planting in my mind? Are they weeds or seeds? Because every sentence you say to yourself becomes a thread in the story you're living. Speak kindly. Speak truthfully. Speak intentionally. Because words aren't just labels. They're blueprints for your future. And once your words begin to shift, something else happens. You become more emotionally steady, less reactive, more grounded, no matter what life throws your way. So next, let's explore that powerful inner strength. Lesson 7. Cultivating emotional resilience. Life has a way of testing us, often when we least expect it. You plan carefully, and things still fall apart. You work hard, and the results don't come. You try to stay calm, and someone pushes your last button anyway. In those moments, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, like you're drowning in frustration, doubt, or disappointment. But here's the question that separates reaction from resilience. Do you let the world shake you, or do you find strength in how you respond? Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's what emotional resilience is all about. It's not about avoiding stress or pretending everything is fine. It's about standing steady in the middle of the storm, not because the storm is small, but because you have grown strong. So what does that look like? Practically, it starts with accepting what you cannot control. Most people spend more energy resisting reality than facing it. They rage against traffic, obsess over someone's opinion, replay conversations or decisions they can't undo. But here's the truth: you can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf them. Resilience begins when you stop fighting the uncontrollable and start focusing on your response. Let's say something goes wrong, a project fails, someone criticizes you, plans fall through. A fragile mind says, "Why me?" Or, "This always happens." A resilient mind says, "Okay, this happened, what now?" That simple shift, from helpless to active, is where strength is born. Next, let's talk about reframing failure. Most of us have been taught to see failure as the end, as proof that we're not good enough. But Stoics saw failure differently. To them, failure wasn't fatal, it was formative. Every mistake holds a lesson. Every setback is feedback. Every fall is a chance to rise smarter and stronger. So instead of saying, "I blew it," try, "What did this teach me, and how will I use it next time?" That mindset doesn't just heal, it empowers. Another pillar of emotional resilience? Self-compassion. Let's be honest. We're often kinder to strangers than we are to ourselves. When a friend messes up, we say, "It's okay, you'll get through this." But when we mess up, we say, "You idiot, you always screw it up." That's not strength. That's self-sabotage. Real resilience is talking to yourself the way you'd talk to someone you care about, especially when you're struggling. So next time you fall short, pause and ask, if my best friend were going through this, what would I say to them? Then say that to yourself. Now let's bring in two powerful practices that help reinforce this mindset: mindfulness and gratitude. Mindfulness is about being present, even when the moment is difficult. It means noticing your emotions without being swallowed by them. It's the pause before the reaction, the breath before the explosion, the space where you can choose your next move instead of defaulting to old patterns. Gratitude, on the other hand, shifts your perspective. Even when life feels heavy, there's always something, however small, to appreciate. A cup of tea, a kind word, the fact that you've made it this far. When practiced together, mindfulness and gratitude create emotional balance, like roots that hold you steady when the winds of life try to knock you down. So here's your takeaway. You don't build emotional resilience by avoiding pain. You build it by staying present, by reframing pain into purpose, and by treating yourself with kindness through the process. Resilience doesn't mean you don't break. It means when you do, you rebuild stronger. It means you bend, but you don't snap. You feel, but you don't drown. You rise, again and again. And once you've cultivated that strength within, it's time to take it one step further. To not just survive life's chaos, but to find joy despite it. Coming up, Lesson 8: Practicing Gratitude as a Mindset Shift. Lesson 8: Practicing Gratitude as a Mindset Shift. Let's face it, when life feels heavy, gratitude is probably the last thing on your mind. When bills pile up, when your plans fall apart, when everything seems like it's working against you, the idea of being grateful can feel naive, even annoying. But here's the twist: gratitude isn't just about feeling good, it's about seeing clearly. When negativity clouds your mind, gratitude cuts through the fog. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess." In other words, don't get lost chasing what's missing. Take a moment to truly see and appreciate what's already there. Because often, the problem isn't that we lack something, it's that we've stopped noticing what we already have. Let's break this down. Gratitude isn't about pretending things are perfect. It's not toxic positivity. It's not saying, "I should be happy," when you're clearly not. It's simply this: directing your attention to what is working, instead of obsessing over what isn't. It's about shifting your lens from scarcity to presence, from "what's missing" to "what's meaningful right now." Here's how you put that into practice. First, start a gratitude journal. Every evening, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't need to be big. In fact, the smaller, the better. It might be a warm cup of coffee this morning, a stranger who held the door open, a few quiet minutes to breathe before bed. The goal isn't to impress anyone, it's to train your brain to notice. And when you do this consistently, you'll realize something powerful. Your mind becomes better at scanning for the good, instead of scanning for threats. Second, express it out loud. Gratitude isn't just internal. It gets even stronger when you share it. Send a quick message to someone who helped you. Tell a friend, "Hey, I really appreciate how you showed up for me." Look your partner in the eye and say, "Thank you for today." Those moments might seem small, but they build connection. And connection is one of the strongest antidotes to negativity. Third, practice gratitude when it's least convenient. That's where the shift really happens. Stuck in traffic? Instead of cursing, ask, "What can I appreciate right now?" Maybe it's time to breathe, or catch up on that podcast you've been putting off. Having a rough day? Look for one thing, just one, that didn't fall apart. Maybe someone smiled at you. Maybe you still showed up. That counts. Gratitude doesn't erase hardship. It simply gives you a way to walk through it with more perspective and less panic. And here's what's truly amazing. The more you practice gratitude, the less space negativity has to live. It gets crowded out. Like opening windows in a dark room. The light doesn't argue with the darkness, it just shows up. And slowly, without even realizing it, your entire mindset shifts. So today, ask yourself, what can I be grateful for, right now, in this moment? Even if it's small, even if it's imperfect, even if you're still struggling. Gratitude doesn't wait for your life to be perfect. It simply invites you to notice that even here, in this moment, there is something good. And if you start noticing that every day, you don't just change your mood. And now that you've anchored your mindset in gratitude, it's time to talk about a truth that most people resist, but once accepted, brings deep peace. Nothing lasts forever. Not the highs, not the lows, not even the pain. Lesson 9. Embracing impermanence. Let's be honest, most of us crave stability. We want things to stay just the way they are, especially when they're going well. But life doesn't work that way. It moves, it shifts, it breaks and rebuilds, sometimes in the same day. And the sooner we stop resisting that truth, the freer we become. Marcus Aurelius, writing over 2,000 years ago, understood this deeply. All things pass away. That includes your victories, your losses, your relationships, your regrets, even your current problems, the ones that feel like they'll last forever. They won't. Here's the paradox. When we cling too tightly to how things were, or obsess over how things should be, we suffer. We resist reality. We hold on to old stories, old pain, old versions of ourselves that no longer fit. And that resistance? It creates more stress than the actual situation. Ever been stuck reliving a past argument in your head, days, even weeks later? The moment passed, but you didn't. Or ever spent so much time worrying about what might happen, that you missed what was happening? That's what clinging does. It traps us in a place that no longer exists. But when we embrace impermanence, when we truly understand that everything changes, we stop fighting the current and start flowing with it. We let go, not because we don't care, but because we realize nothing is permanent, and that's what makes it precious. Think of a flower in full bloom. Part of what makes it beautiful is that it won't last. We savor it more because we know it's fleeting. Life is the same. Joy doesn't last forever, so enjoy it while it's here. Pain doesn't last forever either, so hold on. Because it will pass. This too shall pass isn't just a cliché. It's a compass, a reminder that no matter how dark or bright the moment is, it's just that, a moment. Let's get practical. Imagine you've had a falling out with a close friend. It feels raw, heavy, maybe even permanent. But pause. What if you viewed that conflict through the lens of impermanence? What if you reminded yourself, feelings change, people grow, and time heals? No, it doesn't undo the pain. But it opens the door to forgiveness, to reconciliation, or at least peace. And if healing with that person isn't possible, it still allows you to move forward, without dragging the weight of resentment. Or maybe you're clinging to a version of your life that no longer exists. A job you lost, a dream that didn't work out, a relationship that ended. You can mourn that, and you should. But don't make your home in something that's already gone. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means making space for what's next. One simple way to practice this daily? Gratitude for the now. Remind yourself, this moment won't last, and that's why it matters. The laughter at dinner, the quiet of early morning, even the struggle you're facing today. None of it is forever. And that makes it sacred. When you live with this awareness, you stop taking things for granted. You show up more fully. You love more deeply. You worry less about holding on, and focus more on being present. So next time you feel stuck, in pain, in stress, in longing, whisper this truth to yourself. Everything changes. This, too, shall pass. Let that thought calm your mind like a wave receding from shore. Because when you learn to embrace impermanence, you no longer fear change. You trust it. You work with it. And through it, you grow. And now that you understand the flow of life, how to accept what comes, and let go of what goes, there's one final piece that brings everything together. Purpose. Because when life changes, your purpose anchors you. It gives direction, no matter what the waves bring. Up next. Lesson 10: Building a Purpose-Driven Life. Lesson 10. Building a Purpose-Driven Life. Let's pause and ask a big question, one that most people avoid until life forces it on them. Why are you doing what you're doing? Seriously. Why are you working so hard? Why are you chasing that goal? Why do you wake up, push forward, and keep going, even when it's hard? If the answer is unclear, vague, or absent altogether, that might explain why things feel heavy, scattered, or even meaningless. Marcus Aurelius warned us about this long ago. People who labor all their lives but have no purpose to direct every thought and impulse are wasting their time, even when hard at work. That hits, doesn't it? We live in a world that worships hustle. But hustle without direction? That's just exhaustion. A purpose-driven life doesn't mean you need a world-changing mission or a perfect 5-year plan. It simply means you know what matters to you, and you live like it does. Your purpose can be quiet. It might be being a present and loving parent, creating art that makes people feel something, building a business that aligns with your values, or simply becoming the kind of person your younger self needed. The point isn't what the purpose is. It's that you have one, and that it's yours. So how do you find it? Start with a few honest questions. What gives me a sense of fulfillment? What makes me feel like I'm contributing, not just consuming? What kind of impact do I want to leave, even in small ways? What do I want to be remembered for? You don't have to figure it all out today. Purpose isn't a lightning bolt. It's more like a compass, something you check regularly to make sure you're still on course. And once you begin aligning with it, everything changes. First, you gain resilience. Purpose gives you something to hold onto when things get tough. When you're tired, discouraged, afraid. Without purpose, obstacles feel like walls. With purpose, they become stepping stones. You don't quit when it's hard, because you know why you started. Second, you filter out distractions. When you're clear on what matters most, it's easier to say no to things that waste your time, to people who drain your energy, to goals that don't align with your values. Clarity is power. And purpose brings clarity. Third, you turn setbacks into growth. With purpose, failure doesn't define you, it refines you. Missed opportunities become redirection. Delays become time to develop. Hardships become character building. Your story no longer ends at the struggle, it evolves through it. So here's your challenge. Don't just live on purpose. Even if you're still figuring it out. Start where you are. Reflect. Realign. Choose one small action each day that connects with something meaningful to you. Write something. Call someone you love. Help a stranger. Move your body. Speak the truth. Whatever your purpose is, live it. Now, not someday. Because when you live with purpose, your thoughts get clearer, your actions become focused, and your days begin to carry weight, not the weight of pressure, but the weight of meaning. And that's how you kill negative thinking. Not by running from it, but by building a mind and a life that's too grounded, too present, too intentional to be dominated by fear, doubt, or distraction. You've learned how to shift your perception, how to challenge old thoughts, how to take action, speak truth, stay grounded, and find peace, even when life isn't easy. But above all, you've remembered this. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius. That strength? It's already in you. So take what you've learned. Start small. Start today. And begin the journey of becoming the clearest, calmest, most purposeful version of yourself. One choice, one thought, one step at a time. So here we are, at the end of this journey, but maybe, just maybe, at the beginning of something much deeper. You've learned the tools. You've heard the wisdom. Now the question becomes, what will you do with it? Because this video wasn't about inspiring you for a moment. It was about equipping you for a lifetime. A lifetime where you stop being controlled by negative thinking and start controlling the narrative in your mind. A lifetime where you shift your perceptions, question old patterns, take action with intention, speak to yourself with compassion, surround yourself with light, stand tall in the face of struggle, give thanks even in the messy moments. Embrace change instead of fearing it. And above all, live with purpose. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to master it all today. But you do have to begin. Because no one else can do that inner work for you. And that's the real power of Stoicism. It doesn't offer a quick fix, it offers a path. A way of living with clarity, calm, and character, in a world that desperately needs all three. So if this message spoke to you, if even one part of this resonated, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend, a family member, a colleague who's been struggling. You never know whose life might shift from hearing what you just did. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, because this channel is all about giving you timeless wisdom for modern minds. Until next time, stay grounded, stay present, and above all, stay intentional. You've got this.